as he heard the click from Brendan hanging the bag. Already? Don't sound so disappointed, the boy chided softly. You can't keep your fingers in for a second. He added a soft slut, but stopped himself. Brendan leaned down, reaching for the bottle of lubricant, letting himself hover over Ryan for a moment, his breath tickling the back of the boy's neck. Just think about everything I'll do after, he whispered, before straightening back up and slicking lube across the tip of the nozzle and his own fingers. Okay. Ryan whined. So it's weird. It's formatted wrong. Okay, Ryan whined, but slowly pulled his fingers out anyways. He wasn't empty for longer than a few seconds. Brendan's fingers immediately sliding over and opening before pressing in, then pulling out to press in the tip of the nozzle. Breathe, he murmured, fingers running down the boy's spine. I'm going to know, okay? Wait, Ryan choked out. I'm going to know, Brendan repeated, voice a little harder this time. You're fine. He kept his fingers running along the boy's spine as he loosened the clamp. Ryan bit his bottom lip, moaning as he felt the first rush of the warm milk sliding into his body. The beginning of the enema was almost like Brendan's fingers were now, smooth and soft almost. The cramps would come soon enough, but Brendan's fingers would still be the same. When they started, one of Ryan's hands flew up to his stomach, and Brendan stopped the flow without a word, letting the other boy massage his abdomen to ease the pain. Just tell me. Okay, Ryan whispered, his hand still on his stomach. Brendan loosed the clamp again, and Ryan felt the warmth continuing to enter his body. He continued to massage away the dull ache of the cramps as he felt his stomach slowly begin to expand from the amount of liquid he'd taken. Stop! He choked out again. He wasn't supposed to know much, but he was desperate to know. He felt like he'd taken half already, but he knew it was probably more like a quarter of the bag. Bren? He asked, a voice close to cracking. Brenny? His voice was weak. You're doing great, baby. The boy leaned down, letting soft kisses feather along Ryan's lower back. So good. The tears were starting to build up. Ryan could feel them in his chest, waiting there, another ache in his body. He let his head fall forward, trying to slow his breathing, trying to focus on Brendan's fingers instead of the liquid inside him. Okay, he whispered, voice cracking as the first tear slid down his cheeks. The flow continued, and Brendan slowed the flow without a say-so after 5 minutes or so. You're taking it so well, Rye, he cooed. You got half. He didn't usually tell Ryan how much he'd taken, but it had been a while since they'd done this, and he didn't want the boy to break before he managed to get both quarts in. Half? Ryan asked, voice timid, as if he wasn't sure if he should be relieved or disconcerted. Mm-hmm. Ryan leaned down, letting his lips kiss the back of Ryan's neck, and then between the boy's shoulder blades. Are you ready for more? When Ryan hesitated, Brendan squeezed his hip. You can take it, baby. You've done this before. Ryan's head nodded, a fraction of an inch. His breathing already labored. He gave a small squeak as the milk started slipping into his body again. Please, I can't. He shook his head, the tears coming out for real now. Brendan clamped the nozzle again. I can't, Bren, please. I need to. Please. The younger boy reached his hand down to Ryan's stomach, the curve of a belly that wasn't there usually. Oh my god. I know you can take this, he said, voice low, but not angry or disappointed. I know you can, Rye. He let their fingertips brush. But I won't make you, and it's up to you. Ryan hated that. It would have been so much easier to go along with if Brendan hadn't given him the choice. Now it was up to him to decide if he wanted to be selfish and disappoint his boyfriend and not get rewarded, or just go along with it and deal with the pain. I'll try, he mumbled weakly, squeezing his eyes shut and biting his bottom lip between his teeth as he felt the flow again. Brendan slipped his hand down Ryan's stomach to wrap around his cock, gently stroking, trying to turn the whimpers that the older boy was now making into moans. So good, baby, he kept whispering over and over. You're taking it so good. Hurts, Ryan choked out. Break. Brendan locked the clamp again, letting Ryan rub at his stomach and try to catch his breath. It's almost all in, he said gently, stroking the other boy's erection. Just a little bit more. I know you can take it, Rye. How much? The question hung heavy in the air for a moment. Ryan wasn't supposed to ask, and he knew it. But he almost also knew Brendan had never spanked him or punished him during an enema, so the worst possibility was simply that the other boy wouldn't tell him. Probably 4 ounces, Brendan answered finally. I'm going to start it again, okay? You can take this all in one go. Ryan nodded, gritting his teeth and counting silently in his head, hoping it wouldn't take longer than a minute to finish. He was only a few seconds over when the flow stopped and Brendan planted a kiss to the small of Ryan's back. I'm going to switch it out for the plug, okay? Keep it in. Oh. Sorry, just
Continue.
No, he's keeping it in. I didn't expect that. I didn't get this far before. Ryan tingled his muscles and his toes curling as he did so. It hurt, tensing up along the dull ache of his abdomen. Even with all his tightening, a little bit of the milk/water mixture escaped, sliding down the inside of his thigh. Then the plug was in, and he could relax his muscles, but only somewhat. Brendan picked up a washcloth and wiped at the liquid that had slid down Ryan's skin. It wouldn't be too long, Ryan knew, but it always seemed an eternity. 5 minutes or 10 minutes could feel like hours. Brendan's fingers slid up Ryan's back until they were twisted gently in his hair. I can't wait to get you on the bed, he said thickly, voice low and gravelly. Gonna shove my tongue in you so deep, baby. Ryan moaned outright, despite the dull pain in his muscles and stomach. It was a low moan, soft, but a moan nonetheless, and Brendan smiled at the sound. Is that what you want? The younger boy continued in the same tone. You want my tongue in you? You want me fucking your ass with my mouth? You're going to taste so fucking good, baby. His fingers tightening slightly in Ryan's hair. Not enough to cause any pain, just enough to make the boy gasp, then moan again. Then I'll fuck you. So hard, baby. So goddamn hard. So deep inside you. And then you'll take my cum in your pretty mouth. Ryan was whimpering. His hips moved ever so slightly, squirming. Please? He choked out. Please? He was begging for release. He knew it hasn't been long enough, but if Brendan kept it up, he knew he wouldn't be able to hold it in. I think you can hold it for another couple minutes. But Brendan let go of Ryan's hair and sat back slightly, just letting his hands run slowly up the boy's sides. The older boy was quiet, just a few whimpers leaving his mouth, but still squirming. Brendan let his hands slip lower until he was firmly squeezing Ryan's ass in both hands. Almost, baby, almost. Oh, there was another minute or so, but Brendan's fingers, there was another minute or so, Brendan's fingers skimming over the curve of Ryan's cheeks, and the older boy trying not to lose anything, trying to keep his muscles tensed just enough. Okay. Brendan stood up, slowly kissing Ryan at the back of the neck before stepping out of the tub. Slowly, he warned the boy, don't lose anything, okay? As he held his hand out, letting Ryan take them as as he stood and gingerly climbed out of the tub. Brendan lifted up the lid of the toilet seat and helped Ryan to sit. This was always when Ryan started to cry again. He hated it, hated how Brendan was there for the release. So humiliating, worse than the threats of letting Spencer watch or having Pete fuck him that one time while Brendan took Polaroids. Please just, I can, Ryan said. I'm fine, I can. Brendan looked stern, frowning, shaking his head slightly. Stop. Ryan cried harder, bringing his hands up to push at Brendan before the boy moved closer, but too submissive to actually do it as the boy reached between his legs, fingers closing around the end of the plug. Please, Ryan whispered again. Please, Bren. The boy ignored him. Don't let it go. Don't let it go until I tell you. He let Ryan's face fall into his shoulder. The boy was shaking from his choked sobs as Brendan slowly pulled the plug out. He set it on the counter next to the bowl he had mixed the milk and water in. One arm came up around Ryan. Despite his tears, the boy was still clenching, tighter than probably necessary. Okay, go ahead. Ryan shook his head. No. He cried harder when Brendan pressed his lips against the boy's temple. Please. Ryan, now. The boy was still crying, clinging desperately to Brendan as the first drops of the mixture began to slip out. And then, like always, he realized he really had no choice and then let go, sobbing harder as he heard the liquid falling into the toilet. For Brendan's part, he just held the boy, fingers running down his back, cooing soft sentiments to him. Good boy. Good job, Rye. Finally, the noises slowed and Brendan took a step back, letting Ryan wipe and flush down the toilet. They both washed their hands in the sink and Ryan blew his nose. I'm sorry, he whispered, refusing to look at Brendan. I didn't mean to. I knew you won't hurt me. Brendan's cool fingers, still slightly wet from the water, slid under Ryan's chin, tilting the boy's face up to meet his eyes. Thank you, he returned, leaning in and kissing him, soft at first, then harder, tongue slipping in. Bed now, he said, unable to contain his smile as he felt Ryan's lips curve upward against his. They walked out to the hotel bedroom area and Brendan nodded silently, indicating Ryan should assume the position on the bed. Back or knees? Knees, if they're not too sore. Ryan would take more than sore knees for a rim job, as he clearly demonstrated. So Brendan nodded his approval as the boy got on all fours on the bed. Ryan kept his head facing forward, resisting the urge to look over his shoulder and watch Brendan. The younger boy loved that, how he didn't have to order the boy to do it. Ryan obeyed the unspoken command of his own accord. The bed sunk down as Brendan knelt behind Ryan, hands squeezing the boy's hips. Brendan leaned in, pressing a soft kiss to Ryan's entrance, smiling when he heard the moan. His mouth opened, tongue slipping out, licking in broad, even strokes, knowing it would do nothing but tease Ryan, torturing him. And truthfully, it was all Ryan could do to keep from pressing his ass back on Brendan's face while begging more. Brendan sat up and leaned forward, pressing two fingers to Ryan's lips. The boy sucked them into his mouth without a word, his tongue sliding around the digits, trying to not to get overeager, trying not to just beg Brendan to. Okay, can I stop? I'm gonna stop. That's good enough. We saw enough. Okay.